Welcome to another edition of Morse World TV. I'm your host, Brother Huckabee. Is there anybody in the building? Family, my apology. I be moving. I be doing too much. I mean, anyway, we got a fabulous show for you tonight. Tomorrow is going to be a fabulous one also. I'm going to ask y'all, do y'all think that we should turn my mic down a little bit? So family, you know, y'all with me? Everybody thumbs up. You know, I was thinking, right? I was looking at all the attacks that came with doing this show about hip hop. In my headphones. That's right, I'm chewing. Keep it in the hood just a little bit. Yeah, you know, I'm thinking about all these shows. I'm thinking about all these shows that I do, and I'm looking at the show that we just did and all the attacks that came with it. In particular, attacks against Dr. Colon. And it amazes me. It amazes me that we can't even have a civilized conversation about history without somebody within our group, regardless, without somebody acting as if this is war. The funny part about this is that I've never seen this much rage over Jerry Springer, where sisters was popping out their boobies and their buns, dragging weaves all over the floor, kissing each other in the mouth. I mean, just doing all types of stuff. On Maury, baby daddy, just totally showing the world a disgusting side of so-called Black American culture. I haven't witnessed this type of anger, disdain over things like that. And we're merely having a conversation here about hip-hop. And I look at the comment section, I look at all of these crazy attacks. It's just ridiculous. One thing that is consistent with all the attacks is I don't see anybody saying, I challenge you, I'm going to bring some evidence, and I'm ready to come front and center and address this misinformation, I haven't seen that yet. I'm looking for it because I always invite those who disagree to come on Morse World TV and give us the full truth as you know it, or rather, according to you. So with that being said, tonight, I'm going to put the link out. After Dr. Colon lay out his premise once again, I'll also make a contribution as to what I agree with and what I don't agree with. But the whole thing in a nutshell is, I'm asking, let me just plead with you. I want to hear your commentary. All right. But can you bring some proof? Can you try to get some proof? Can you have a conversation like intelligent human beings? It's funny how people talk about Trump all the time. And on the flip side, talk about Biden. But one thing for sure and two things for certain, that whenever these two dialogue or a conversation come about from either one of them, they do their best to articulate even their ignorance in an intellectual manner. We get downright dirty and ignorant. And it's a crying shame because it's just a conversation. In fact, it's a conversation where most of the people that are upset, bent out of shape, didn't even make a contribution to the culture. They're just sideline cheerleading. They haven't made a book. They haven't written a book. They haven't done a documentary. They haven't, at least if you disagree with Dr. Colon, he did a documentary. He put it on the record and for the record. But most people who disagree haven't done nothing but sit on the sideline, complain and cry. And we call that in the Morris Science Temple of America the NBC degree. Negro, Black, and Colored. That's what it is, where you just complain. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to put your evidence to the table. All you want to do is wham, wham, wham. Wham, wham, wham. Well, tonight is the night where you're going to have to wham, wham just a little bit more. Because that's right.
I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember.
How y'all feel tonight, family?
I be that more you gon' remember.
I need everybody to share this.
Till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember.
I need everybody to share
this.
That
more you gon' remember, that's right.
At least one. You see this?
To Harker Bay front line till
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
More than you a friend of mine.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Now hold my line.
No evidence.
Against the prophet, they speak against me.
No proof.
And I speak about the prophet over you, Ali. Who was the first to remind you and bind you back?
Bring your
the mountains, Mississippi and Quebec. Told
like
you wasn't black. Prove it with straight facts. You tripping off Trump. You need to be tripping off that. Now here we go again, acting like you a slave. The same people talk European how to pay. And look at that women buying European hair. No love for self, but do the men really care? Hell no, cause they got a love for Europe. Whole generation chasing pills, weed and syrup. Yeah, they love loyalty.
I'm breaking news for you too.
Kodak, Amigos, Lucid. But when the love for the woman look like your mother, I guess they say it's all black when it's under the cover. Now cypher, I be that more you gon' remember.
We got the good
I be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. All you super scholars holler. This Corey Washington. You ain't building on the ground, then you worse than a twerker. You look and sound good, but that's only on the surface. Probably working for the people. Now tell me what's your purpose. Ain't worried about your homie, but know that I know every mo that rock a flares. He ain't my bro. Yeah, you know I ain't slow. I seen it all before. How they try to kill the prophet, it was all for dough. And some got it right now. Don't say that I'm not down. I'm coming for my vast mistake. I want my town, my shop, my stores, my school, my nation. Sick and tired of procrastination and debate. Y'all keep hating when love is the savior. You don't love yourself, so you can't love your neighbor. That's why you killing, fighting, marry out of your race. If you ain't for Moore's world, then get out of my face. Cause Chinese love China, Italians love Italy. If you love the Moore's world, come on. Already in the building, I be that more you gon' remember. Yeah, I'ma be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. Be more. I be that more you gon' remember. That town. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number.
Forever. And boom. I gotta do it like this. I gotta do it like this. Hold on. I gotta do it like this. Can you smell what the doc is cooking?
What's up, man?
Brother, let me tell you something. Before I let you go, let me say this. After the show, people went crazy The comment section is still going nuts from the last show. Now, one of the things that is being attributed to you is that you're trying to take the culture from black people, quote unquote. That you are swagger jacking the culture. That you are saying that Puerto Ricans, Boricuas, created hip hop. I mean, it's so many things that was attributed to you, but I don't know where that interview came from because I wasn't in that interview. I've never once heard you say in our interview that Boricuas, Puerto Ricans created hip hop. I didn't hear you say that. Now, I don't know who heard you say that, but the link will be out. And honest to you, because you said you want to address all the haters. You want to address all those that had adverse comments, basically. And the best way I could see it happening is let's open the line up. Hit the link, come in. I just ask that you be respectful. I just ask you don't use no language, because the difference about this platform here, this is a platform that I want families to be able to watch. You know what I'm saying? Even if the topic could be intellectually a little bit past children, they should be able to sit in their living room and look at Moorish World TV while their parents or playing their game or doing their homework while their parents are looking at Moorish World TV. The only thing that should distract them is my big mouth or my rapping and jumping around. And little children love it. They look at me like I'm a character from one of them little Muppet shows or something, and they, that's the Grand Sheik. And so that's cool. But other than that, all I've asked is that you watch your mouth, because I believe that each and every one of you, brothers and sisters, European, whomever, can express themselves without filthy doo-doo mouth. I got confidence in you. I got confidence in you. I think you are that much. That's how much I think of you. I think you are that intelligent that you are able to articulate yourself without the doo-doo mouth. And if you're not, this is not the show for you. With that being said, Dr. Colon, what you done got yourself into, brother?
Man. Well, thank you, bro, for having me again. And yeah, man, we just want to clear up some of the misconceptions, you know? Yeah.
What were some of the misconceptions that you think need to be cleared up?
Well, first of all, the idea that I said that Puerto Ricans created the culture. Here's what I said. I said the culture is a multicultural creation. Jamaicans, African Americans, Latinos, mainly Puerto Ricans. Nowhere have I ever said it is strictly Puerto Ricans that created hip hop. But people want to say what they want to say. So I just said what it is, and those are facts.
Now, why you think it is attributed to you that you're saying that Latinos in particular created hip hop? I can't say that I've ever heard you say that. Can anybody in the chat show me where Dr. Colon actually said that? And this shows you how emotionally, intellectually, excuse this expression, but it is what it is, emotionally, intellectually retarded some people are. And this is not a jab at anybody. What I'm saying is that you're talking from emotions, and you didn't even hear the interview. You didn't even hear the true premise.
Right.
You definitely couldn't hear the true premise if you are attributing something like that. It doesn't make sense. Now, with that being said, what is your premise on the foundation and the start of hip hop? Although you said it before, let's revisit it one more time And so we can put this link out and see who is willing to jump in and ask questions or me even add on.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, the foundation of the culture is most definitely not.
One, I have a true scholar in the chat right now. Minister Paul, I'm going to email you this link. I don't want anybody else in there yet. If Minister Paul is able to join us tonight, that would be a great addition to this conversation. And then I'll put the link at the end. Minister Paul, let me know if you're able to join us. You can put a yes or no, and I'll email you the link immediately. Minister Paul is not only I call him, he's a hip-hop journalist, a hip-hop connoisseur, and he's just hip-hop through and through. And I respect his opinion as well as his knowledge as it relates to hip-hop. So I definitely would love him, even if he disagrees or agrees. I would love to have him in this conversation. I was thinking about him earlier today. I was like, man, I wonder what Minister Paul doing. However, he's here, and I'm going to send him a link. But go on, carry on, brother, while I give Mr. Paul this link. What you were saying?
Yeah, so, again, the problem that we're having is the when, right? So there are so many dates that are thrown out. Somebody would say, well, I was there from the beginning. Well, one person's beginning is different all the time. So somebody would say, I was there from the beginning. Well, when was your beginning? 1976. Okay, well, the story says the beginning is 73. But we know that's not the beginning. That party in 73 at 1520 was not the beginning. Okay, that's not where Herc starts to. There was a party, but that's not the beginning. That's not the first party. Where you see the elements of hip hop. You don't see that until 75 at the Hevelo. And this is documented. This is fact. These are from people who were there, who were at those parties. And there were people at the 73 party that will tell you there was no hip hop happening at that party. It was just a party. Herc threw the party. And number one, number two, the 1520 building, that room might hold 50 to 70 people. It's a small space, right? So, my perspective is that the culture, the birthing of the culture really begins around 1975, because this is the pivotal year that you see the DJs who begin to play the breaks. That's 75. That's Herc. That's Bambaataa. That's Grandmaster Flash. That's all the other hip hop DJs, the specific DJs who play music for the B-boys. And then you don't see the first B-boys who really go to the floor. This happens late 74, 75. So 75 is a pivotal year, right? As far as why people are up in arms about saying I'm saying something that I didn't say, I think it just boils down to the fact that because I am a Puerto Rican who's saying this. That's it. So anybody else who says anything, even an African American who would agree with me, then they start calling them names.
Yeah, they called me a sellout. They said it was a comment that says that my beef with Tariq have me selling out hip hop. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's the best you can come up with?
Tariq is selling out hip hop.
Is that the best you can come up with? Anyway, the moment that you curse, I'm going to kick you out. The moment that you talk tough and aggressive, I'm getting you gone. So listen, I want people to raise up to the intellectual status. I want people to raise up to the status of putting their emotions aside and put their intelligence on the line. Period, point blank. So I'm telling you now that if you come aggressive, if you become, and I don't mind passion. There's a difference between being passionate and being aggressively ignorant. So I want your passion because I'm passionate. So here we go. We got Alquan. I'm
Hey,
one in the building. How you doing, fam?
what's going on?
I'm doing well. So, what you got to add to the conversation, bro?
Oh yes, to the good doctor.
I don't like this. To the good time.
You say that the birth or the creation of hip hop was a multicultural event. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible that you can show us in the music uh the multicultural activity in the music? Because in the beginning, I hear no Jamaican tinged hip hop. I don't hear anybody speaking Spanish in hip hop as a normal rapping. Those are different cultures. Other than that, we're left with Black Americans. So, can you please, kind of explain the multicultural aspect that you were talking about?
What beginning are you talking about?
I'm talking about the foundation, the beginning of the whole situation.
Are you talking about rap music?
That's what I specify, rap music.
Okay.
Because I know Puerto Ricans are breaking.
All right. So hip hop doesn't begin with rap music. That's the first thing. Rap music, the MCs don't come until late 76, 77. Hip hop predates that. Hip hop predates the MCs. The foundation of the culture of hip hop are the DJs who play the breaks and the B-boys. That's the foundation. The MCs come later. So right out the gate, there's no cake. That's what I mean. People automatically jump to rap. And yes, the face and the foundation of the MCs are African Americans, no doubt about it. But we're talking about something that predates that.
Oh, so you're going with the music part,
The breaks,
without the rappers.
the breaks, absolutely.
Okay, that's good. That's even better, actually. I like that. So now, once again, if we were to just deal with the breaks only, who created the breaks, and more importantly, who created the music that made the break possible?
What breaks are you talking about?
No, you tell me. You're the doctor, because you're saying that breaks was multicultural. So I want to hear this multicultural break beats.
Right, the foundation of the break beats, which were they were just simply records that DJs played. And yes, they were African American groups. But let's look at this for a minute. Okay? Where did they get? So Herc, Flash, Bambaataa, Theodore, Mean Gene, these DJs played specific breaks that had a specific sound in the breaks. Okay? And these were breaks that were catered to the B-boys. And the B-boys danced to a specific sound in the breaks. We call it the Latin breakdown. Okay, so within these breaks, you hear the conga drums, you hear the bongo drums, you hear timbales, you hear the cowbells. It is the Latin breakdown that you hear that comes from, okay, those instruments don't come from foundational Black Americans. They come from Africa and the Caribbean.
That's beautiful, sir. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, since you just put that out there, that should mean that some of the first hip hop rap records, I'm throwing in a rap now, should have those same beats, right? Those Latin tinge beats, right?
Absolutely, sir.
Now, which ones were those? So maybe because I may not know too much. So which ones were those?
All right. So
or were they hits?
Okay. Well, let's look at the first labels. Let's look at the first rap labels. Sugar Hill Records. The first commercial rap label. Sugar Hill Gang is on that label. Okay. But there are really no MCs on that label. It's just the Sugar Hill Gang. And the MCs in the Bronx did not consider the Sugar Hill Gang to even be true MCs. It was a commercial record off of Good Times. Okay. But Sugar Hill Gang made a record called Sugar Hill Groove. And Sylvia Robinson brought in somebody that was going to give the sound of the original breaks with the Latin breakdown, and she wanted that sound. And who do they bring in the studio? They bring in Tito Puente to play on Sugar Hill Groove. That's the first time you hear it. Now let's look at the second label that is considered a rap label, because we're back on rap again. Okay. That is Enjoy Records, Bobby Robinson. So the first song on Enjoy is by the Funky 4 Plus One More. That is Rapping and Rocking the House. Now, who does Bobby solicit to be the music maker, the producer of Enjoy? He solicits and he finds somebody by the name of Pumpkin. It's actually Pumpkin and Friends. Pumpkin is Latino. Pumpkin is Costa Rican and Panamanian. I do believe that's correct. Yes. Okay. Now, Costa Rican.
Does that sound like a disco cut, or because I was funny? No. I happened to just listen to that today, as a matter of fact.
Rapping and Rocking the House.
Yep. Funky 4 Plus One More.
Funky 4 Plus One.
Okay. Sounded like disco to me.
No,
disco beat.
It's not a disco beat. So, Pumpkin is the producer. The instrumentation is from a guy by the name of Silos Gongas. He is a Puerto Rican. Okay. Pumpkin goes on to make hit after hit with the sound of the Latin breakdown. And what I mean is, I don't want people to mistake and think when I say Latin breakdown, that means a salsa sound. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the instruments that are used to recreate the sound of the original breaks. Pumpkin doesn't use breaks. He creates new breaks. He is a creator of new breaks. And his music was used by the early MC crews like the Cold Crush Brothers, crews like the Treacherous Three, crews like the Fantastic Romantic Five with Grand Wizard Theodore. They use Pumpkin's instrumentation that he created himself along with
other. Sound Latin.
I just said it's not gonna sound Latin. You think I don't know what you mean by Latin.
Well, you're the one saying calling it Latin.
It's a Latin break, meaning the instruments. Okay, if you listen to Silos Congas playing the congas on that song, you will hear the Latin breakdown.
Okay, so what instruments did the so-called Latin create, if you don't mind, so I can get a better understanding?
Well, the instruments come from Africa, bro.
So why is it called Latin?
Because it goes from Africa to the Caribbean islands. And the Caribbean islands, Cuba creates the conga. Cuba creates the bongo. All of that is from Africa to the Caribbean.
Wouldn't it be safe to say that they all derivative of African drums, though?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's not Latin. It's African. Is that a yes or a no? Or
you're completely missing my point.
No, I'm going by what you're saying.
Let me say this: we got quite a few more people up in here, but I think one of the points that Doc has mentioned was that it didn't just start with hip hop. So when we start talking about rap, I mean, it just didn't start with rap. My apology. It just didn't start with the spoken word over beats. And that was the totality of hip hop. I think one of the things that we got to pay attention to when we have this conversation is the elements that makes hip hop of culture and who was there, who was doing it, who participated. I think that ultimately solves the equation, because if we corner with rap, because rap is the most popular form of a part of hip hop, then of course we have been the face of it, we have been the stars of it, we have been the best at it. Do you know what I mean? But when you look at hip hop as explained as a culture in the four elements, I think there's a conversation there to be had.
You know what? I could actually add to that. Visually speaking, an early movie from the early 70s seems to have a lot of hip hop elements in it. But strangely enough, no Latinos. And that movie is Superfly. If that ain't hip hop back in the early days, I don't know what is.
There's no elements of hip hop in Superfly. So
there was a scene in there when the guy, he met the drug dealers at the bar, And he Superfly said, "How you doing, man?" And you know what the guy said? He said, "I'm chilling." That's what he said.
That's hip hop. That's the language.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that's one of the elements, though.
But that's a part of the culture.
I got you. I got you. Hey, brother, give me 1 second. Let me get
All right.
my brother. Who was in next? My brother. What is it?
I
Bawana?
would, yeah.
Yeah, brother. Come on, brother. Come on in. And then I gotta get my doc up. I gotta get my doc a break. And then I gotta get my bro the minister up. And we got ministers and doctors up here tonight. You know what I mean? Come on, brother. What you got for me?
Shout out to you, Grand Cheek. I appreciate your content. I respect your content very much, man. You're doing very, very good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But
yes,
you know,
sir.
we gonna be labeled as tethers now, so you better back me up. You better have my back now.
Yes. I have a question. For the good doctor. Okay. I know he's a hip hop connoisseur, but I want to know if he know anything about reggae music, in particular DJing in Jamaica. Because
Is that a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Because the reason why I asked you this question is because I know about a musical genre called toasting.
Mhm.
Okay, and toasting is basically poetry over reggae beats,
Mhm.
right? And I'm thinking like early on, with you, Roy, and all those other guys, Kool Herc would have known about toasting in Jamaica.
Mhm.
And so I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to draw any comparison, but I really wanted to know if you know of any connection between toasting and actual hip hop artists actually going on the mic and doing that thing. I want to know if you probably know of any connections there.
Yeah. So the connection for me is not necessarily going to be toasting. It's going to be more of the sound system culture that we find in Jamaica, primarily in a place called Trenchtown, which is considered the South Bronx of Jamaica. And so the sound system culture, or the sound clash culture, around 1952, you see Jamaicans setting up sound systems, and they are known to travel from area to area, neighborhood to neighborhood. They were known to have turntables with them and microphones. And what they would do is they would actually battle each other. And this is what was called the sound clash. And they would battle each other, sound system against sound system. And the sound system that drowned out the other sound system won the battle. Now, here's the cool connection, is that when you see, they also did something very interesting. This is 1952, that they named their sound systems. Okay, now they brought it to, in 1960, they bring it to the UK, the sound system culture. And then Herc, with his parents, comes to the United States, comes to the Bronx, and would have seen that culture because he grew up, he's from Trenchtown. So he would have seen that culture. He would have known that. His father definitely would have known that culture. Now, Herc does something very interesting. He's the first one to name his sound system. And he calls his sound system the Herculoid sound system. Okay, and then other people start to name their sound systems. Other DJs in the Bronx. And there are also, make no mistake, there were also DJs in Brooklyn, but I'm specifically speaking about Herc. And so the one way that early DJs in the Bronx used to battle each other at these battles, it wasn't necessarily DJ skills. It was sound system against sound system. And so the sound system that drowned out the other sound system won the battle. So a DJ would set up on one side, another DJ would set up on the other side, and they would pull out as many speakers as they could, and that would be the battle. Now I think about that and I say, wow, doesn't that sound like the sound clash battling that happened in 1952 in Jamaica, in Trenchtown, the poorest areas of Jamaica? Sounds like hip hop to me. And so Herc would have been influenced by that. As far as the toasting, again, MCing comes later. So I can't really speak to the toasting, but I could speak to the sound system culture that was prevalent in Jamaica. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Colon. Big shots up to you, GS man. You
I
know,
appreciate you.
yeah, I'll just continue to listen.
All right, appreciate you. Sound man, there's no need to worry. As long as I got my 9, I keep it by my side for you.
I got another question, but I'll wait till everybody else is done.
That sound man have deep culture up in that joke. So with that being said, let me get I want to get the minister in, but I want the minister to flow for a second. So hold with me, Minister Paul. Let me get Randy in real quick to add on, or even dispute. Come on, Randy. How you doing, fam? You got to unmute yourself. Let me unmute you, see if I can do it. Unmute you. Are you there, Randy? While we working on Randy, let's get Audio Cyrus in the building. What you got to add to the conversation, Audio?
Yo, peace. Yo, peace to the doc. Peace to the doc. Peace to the sheik. You know what I'm saying? Yo, so just over the last couple of weeks, you know what I'm saying, with these conversations, I've just been kind of doing my own little research. And, you know, all the old graffiti documentaries, you know what I mean? They have a particular demographic, if you will, if you watch carefully. Like, so Star Wars came out it was filmed in 78, I believe, and it came out in 79, right? So, or it could have been, no, I'm sorry. It was filmed in 81. It came out in 82 or something like that.
Yeah.
So Star Wars was really dope because it shows like a lot of the graffiti artists that were prevalent at the time and who had been around, and they were actually speaking on being from the 70s. Even some of them had some knowledge about the 60s. So you could pick up on like who was around in the culture, right? But they also, you know, when you watch the certain scenes, like with, I believe Case 2, you know what I mean? He was out there, they were all rapping, they were all freestyling. They were, you know, he was expressing a lot of the elements of the culture just of himself. You know, the brother with the amputated arm, right? Amazing graph artist, right? So I'm peeping that, like he was repping, he was even speaking on the gods and the earths at that time, which I thought was quite interesting, right? So fast forward, within the last couple days, I peeped one that just came up in my my YouTube, and it was called Watching Our Names Go By. It was from like 76. And that one was super interesting. And like I'm saying all this to get to a point, but the fact that all the early graffiti documentaries, those were like your first hip hop documentaries, right? Because when I was growing up, we had the book for like Subway art at the library and like, you know, Wild Style and all that stuff. Like graph was like one of the first things, unless it was dancing, it was usually graffiti where you started if you were in the hip hop back then. It was the first thing you could physically do, right? That you practice that. So you got into graffiti, you got into breakdancing. Hopefully at some point you could get some tables, but that wasn't for everybody, right? Like not everybody could afford the tables and stuff like that, right? So, and again, like I like the fact that the DJ element is being more pushed to the forefront in this conversation, not just so much in terms of founding fathers, but the fact that that is a huge, you know, that is the base of what we're talking about. You know what I mean? That's what brought everybody together, was the jams, right? You didn't bring everybody together for the graffiti. That was an isolated, you know, you had a few people in your crew or whatever like that, right? But I'm saying all that to say, when you watch these old graffiti documentaries, you have a lot of white kids, a lot of Puerto Ricans, and definitely a lot of blacks. And actually, in one of the ones I was watching, they did mention, they're like, yo, anybody, if you use the term graffiti writer, automatically you think black, which was quite interesting. Right? I think it was in Wild Style. Like that's somebody said that. I was like, okay. So the stereotype is it's just some black kid tagging up the train. But in reality, you know, all these other people are involved in it. Now, and I'm saying all that because as well, this is the early 70s and somebody was bringing up cornbread and all these people from the 60s and whatever like that. But it goes back so far, you can't just pin it down to one person like a Taki 183 or whatever like that. This element has been there since the beginning, if not from the very beginning. And if not, it represented that rebel culture that before you had a name for it, like hip hop and everything like that, you had this. And so a lot of things stemmed from it. It's how you got your name out there. It's what was on the flyer. It was what was in the video. It was what was on the album cover, on the tape cover. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good timeline to try to follow for anybody who's really interested in understanding the roots of the genre, of the art form, of the movement. And I'll just end with this. I want to get your feedback on that. You know, a lot of people use the term culture, but I really feel, you know, and this is no disrespect, but when we're talking about hip hop, I look at it as a method. I look at it as an artistic method for producing, whether it's dance, whether it's DJing, whether it's music, lyrics, poetry, whether it's graffiti. It's all a method of approaching different art forms. So it embraces so many other cultures and aspects. This linear conversation of just FBA, like, it doesn't make any sense at all if you are a hip hop creator or historian or anything. Like, that's never been a part of the conversation. It's never been something that's been at the forefront of any dialogue in hip hop in terms of singling it down to one group of people. That's never been the conversation. We know it came from America. We know it started in the Bronx. Just leave it at that. Do you understand what I'm saying in terms of like all of this divisive conversation? Everything else attests to a different, you know, narrative. So anybody else trying to tell you something different is trying to sell you something. But peace to everybody in the space, and thank you for allowing me to get my rant off real quick.
Absolutely. And let me just add real quick. That we know that a lot of this divisive conversation is one of those age-old things of divide and conquer. And now social media has become the cesspool of just garbage information. And so you'll have to swim through a bunch of doo-doo just to get to the real information on the internet. And so there is no better place to cause confusion, separation, division, and worthless arguments, because at the end of the day, this argument is not that serious. It's a conversation for social media. It's a conversation for content, but it's never a conversation that brings us to start calling names, hating one another, disrespecting each other culture, as we see that's done with those who call themselves FBAs. It should never be a conversation about that. But to my big bro, Cryptonomics, he says, fam, if Puerto Ricans was in the hip hop mix early, why don't we have no PR Puerto Rican rappers back in the day? All I know is Fat Joe and Big Pun. What do you say to that? And after you, I'll give it to the minister. What do you say to that, Doc?
Yeah, after me, I want to see, because Randy is saying that his mic wasn't muted. He's there, but we
couldn't hear him.
Yeah,
tell him come on back in. Tell him keep trying. As soon as he pop in, I'll pop him in.
Okay, I think he said he's still there. Maybe he's not.
No, he's not there now.
Is he there?
No.
Okay. Well, let me answer that question. Can you put that comment back on the screen so I can read it?
Basically, basically, if Puerto Ricans was in the hip hop mix early, why don't we have any Puerto Rican rappers back in the day? All I know of is Fat Joe and Big Pun. I'm just saying.
Okay. So, see, this is what is interesting about this conversation is the MCs, as we know it, don't come on the scene until at least late 76, 1977. The first MCs are Flash and the three MCs, and that is Melly Mel, Keith Cowboy, and Kid Creole. So those are three MCs.
I'm sorry, brother. Is Kool Herc classified as an MC back then?
I don't classify him as an MC. I classify him as somebody who did little rhymes, but
because he claimed to be one of the first MCs.
Yeah.
And many people credit him for that also, though. But the caveat to that is he's with the Jamaican Kool Herc. So
right.
It's still, but
right.
Yeah, but go ahead, brother.
So,
go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so I think the early MCs don't consider him. When we talk about the MCs, we're talking about people who have, what they call today bars and and all that. So
Was
I
Chief
think
Rocker
that-
Busy B? Would you consider him MC?
Yeah, he's an MC, but he comes later. So so we have the first three. And then you have the original Funky Four, which is Raheem, Shyrock, Little Rodney C, and KK Rockwell. So that is 7. No, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 MCs. Then you have somebody by the name of Ruby D and Prince Whip a Whip. So that's 7, that's 8, that's 9 MCs. These are the early MCs. 2 of those MCs are Puerto Ricans. Ruby D and Prince Whip a Whip are Puerto Ricans. Okay, so they're in the game.
Wasn't Ruby D?
77,
Was Ruby D in Beat Street?
No, he was in Wild Style.
Oh, Wild Style. Okay.
Yeah,
Got
he
it.
was in
Okay.
Wild Style.
Okay.
So those early MCs are there, right? And you had others as well that didn't get on, so to speak. They weren't popular. So for this person to say, you know, the only person I know of is Fat Joe. You know, Fat Joe doesn't come until when? The 90s, the 80s, late 80s.
Yeah, like late 80s, 90s.
So
I
they
think
were
he was grinding in the 80s, but he came with DTI, digging in the crates. They was, yeah, I'm reminiscing. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but but there were Puerto Rican MCs. Again, the MC element is an African American element. That's a fact. Okay, but there were Puerto Ricans among them, including Puerto Rican DJs.
So are you able to confidently say that, okay, if Puerto Ricans may not been rapping, but they were breaking, or they may not been rapping, but they was doing graffiti? Is that safe? Is that safe to say according to the history that you uncovered?
Yeah, because, you know, and Randy is in, but and he has a wealth of knowledge as well. But you got to remember that the graffiti culture predates hip hop.
Right. Absolutely.
Graffiti culture is the late 60s. And then I'm talking about in New York City. And then you have the DJs who play the breaks. And then you have the B-boys. And then later on, a couple of years later, then you have the MCs. So the foundation, and anybody who's a hip hop historian will tell you, the foundation of hip hop culture are the B-boys. There is no hip hop without the B-boys.
Okay, listen, I want Randy to come in, but you say that he has a wealth of knowledge also, so he might be a talker just like all of us. So I got to get Minister Paul in, and then we'll yield the floor to Randy, and then we get Alquan question after that. Let's just be patient. Let's get this information. I tell you, Minister Paul, he is one that I really, really, really admire his position. The brother has articles. The brother, in other words, I admire boots on the ground. Like, we can get up here in front of this camera all day long. But when Doc has a documentary, Minister Paul have been on some of the top panels to discuss hip hop, and I don't care if they're European, I don't care who they are, but he has represented hip hop in a major way and on many outlets. And so I'm excited that he's here. Minister Paul, it's been a long time since the last time, but brother, what do you got for us, bro? Come on.
First of all,
there you go.
let me say this: the children love you, Grand Sheik.
Oh yeah.
My 8-month-old grandson sits on my knee because late when you come on late, I watch it like the next day.
Right.
He sits on my knee and watches you. 8 months old. So the children love you, Grand Sheik.
Thank you. And this is a testament of why I say we need to stop the filthy doo-doo language, because when we're busy cooking, chilling, rejuvenating, and we want to listen to something, whether we agree with the topic or not, but we just turn it on and let it play. We don't want to be worrying about filth going in our babies' ears, period, point blank. So thank you, Minister Paul.
Yeah, and
Now,
peace, Dr. Colon.
Now, Minister Paul, What
Yeah.
you got for us, bro?
First and foremost, let me just lay out my premise. Since I started writing about hip hop in the 90s, my premise has remained the same. Hip hop origin is African. When I debated I debated Coolio back in 2000. It's still on YouTube. Back in 2001 over Eminem. I said Eminem was, I didn't use the term culture vulture, but I think I was the first one that stepped out and said, look, they taking over hip hop. So this is like 2001, me debating Coolio over the issue. But here's the thing, Grand Sheik, and I think you brought it up in the show. If we want to claim, first we got to define what is hip hop, first and foremost, because if you go by Carrot's One's definition, everything is hip hop. So if we don't have a standard definition of what is and what is not hip hop, we can't say who founded hip hop. Again, if we're going by science, we say that the European didn't create anything. We created everything. So yes, even by default, we created hip hop. But here's the caveat. Here's the catch. If we are going to claim hip hop, y'all ain't ready for this one. If we are going to claim hip hop, you got to accept responsibility for what you let happen to hip hop. If you are going to claim hip hop,
come on, man.
It's our culture. We're the guardians of hip hop. You got to not just claim the 80s and 90s. You got to claim the drug overdoses, the murders, the St. Ives malt liquor, and everything that goes along with it. If you're going to claim hip hop, I bring my sources. We can talk about the breakdancing and the graffiti and the elements and all that stuff. I represent the knowledge element, the fifth element. That's all I represent. The only period of hip hop I really care about is 88 to 92. The Griffs, the Chuck D's, the Rakims, and ending with who? Basically that's about it. But if you really want to know about the origins of the business of hip hop and who really marketed hip hop and the corporations who really own hip hop, read Dan Charnas's book, The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop. Excellent source, because hip hop as we know it wasn't even a thing until 1980. It wasn't a thing outside.
Cut it out, Minister Paul. Come on, Mr. Paul. Minister Paul, hold up. You got to make this. They going to come for you, Minister Paul. I don't know how we going to get over this one, Mr. Paul. What do you mean it wasn't a thing until the 80s?
Because I'm from the South. I didn't grow up in the Bronx. None of that. North Carolina born, North Carolina bred. When I die, I'll be North Carolina dead. Durham versus everybody. But hip-hop didn't really become a thing known outside the 5 boroughs, maybe Connecticut, along that region until 1980. What this book does, it says what corporations immediately after Rapper's Delight jumped on it. And none of them, outside of Sugar Hill, none of them were black.
Woo. No, that's not true.
Go ahead.
I just told you, Enjoy Records was a black label. Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy Records. Yeah.
Enjoy. Robinson. Yeah. You are correct.
Robinson. Right.
But besides the major companies who jumped on it after, let me rephrase that. You are correct. The major ones outside of and Sugar Hill raided Enjoy's roster. They took they took the Treacherous 3, they took the Furious 5, because given the history, the Furious 5, before they became the first record they recorded was Rap's Younger Generation. They were under Rap's Younger Generation. Later they were the Furious 3, Furious 4, Furious 5, and then I think the first record they actually did was under Rap's Younger Generation, but then they did Super Rapping #1, Super Rapping #2. Anyway. But the major corporations took over that. They were basically immigrants. I'm talking about the major rap labels who really started controlling hip hop. But yeah, that's my main premise. One, to define what is hip hop, and two, who if are we going to take responsibility for what happened to hip hop? Because that question and the doctor answered it correctly about the Puerto Rican influence. You can't discount a Ruby D, Whip a Whip, Charlie Chase. Does anybody remember the Mean Machine?
Yeah.
I didn't even know any bit of Spanish before I heard the Mean Machine. Go back and YouTube the Mean Machine. 1981, the Mean Machine was really the first bilingual hip hop song.
That's right.
They started rapping in Spanish. This is 1981. Mm-hmm. Many of us never took Spanish in high school by then. They started rapping bilingual in 1981. So again, that doesn't discount the fact that hip hop is a Black art form, just like everything else. The European had no culture. Read Chancellor Williams, study Dr. Ben, study Dr. John Henry Clark. But as far as hip hop, my main premise is, again, and I'm gonna crash my rocket ship, mothership with this one. If we, politically speaking, for what it means in 2023, if we are going to say we discover hip hop, we own hip hop, it's our responsibility to fix hip hop. And I land my mothership with that.
And I definitely agree. I remember I seen an email from you. I was doing a show, and thank you for taking time to make sure that I'm on point too, because I remember probably a month or a month and a half ago, I opened my email and you was like, brother, don't forget Ice Cube, because I was talking about Ice Cube crying about not being taken seriously and trying to be undermined with his big three or whatever it was. And you said, brother, don't forget also Ice Cube, the one that was sponsored by St. Ives. I was like, that's right. Yeah. He bought that poison with a boom into hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, the spotlight was on the breakup of NWA, him going solo, and right on the and this is why I want to do a whole show about Ice Cube, because it showed the transition as if he was a gatekeeper from knowledge hip hop to a weird blend of what we would call street hip hop. European was call it gangster rap or whatever the case. He would blend it, and then whatever would happen, he would just drop off and go into movies. Are we there yet? Et cetera, and do West Side Connection periodically. But that blend of knowledge, and he called his street knowledge. You know what I mean? It seemed like he was a gatekeeper at that time. And so I think that's a topic of all of itself, brother. So this is why I respect.
And the only not to cut you, Wisdom Grand Sheik, but I just want to add this little bit in. The reason why he stopped doing the St. Ives commercials wasn't because of outrage from the Black community. It was because he made the Korean grocers mad. When he made the song about
Black Korea.
That's made the Korean grocers mad. And then they boycotted the Korean grocers, powerful lobbying group. They boycotted St. Ives, causing St. Ives to drop Ice Cube. You know, it's not he got conscious. It was the Koreans that made him do it. But
right. With that being said, we got Randy in the building. I want to yield the floor to him, brother. Take how much time you like. Let's talk about it. What you bring to the table?
Yo, what up?
Yo.
You hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you really good.
All right. What's going on, man?
Brother, I don't know yet, brother. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. I am of the thought that it takes us all. And history shows and proves that no matter where we have been on the planet Earth, there has always been a collective effort in something. Even when people talk about the Black Power movement, the red, black, and green, we attributed the red, black, and green to Marcus Garvey. I mean, from Jamaica. I mean, I look at everything as I don't see why it's such a detriment to recognize all parts played together to the middle for our greatness. I don't get that. And in reality, if we could actually return to that state of mind, I think we would be better off. Whereas though it's not Colon, Dr. Colon is a Puerto Rican trying to steal our culture. It would be Dr. Colon says this, let me research it. Let's come back and revisit it, and let's get to the fact of the matter. And if he's right, let's move on to the next topic and let's become intellectuals. That's the, other than that, I mean, the disgusting fight is just blows me away. But we're on the topic of hip hop because
follow the money, baby. Follow the money.
Yeah, we're on the topic of hip hop because I've been covering Tariq Nasheed for over 11 months. And all of a sudden, with every other grift that he has, there has always been some sort of connection to, allegedly, it appearing to be connected to a greater agenda, connected to government entities or some type of money grab. Every single one that you look at. With that being said, I see no different with FBA coming out of his mouth. And I'm not talking about those who are FBAs that are genuinely looking for something to sustain their concept of where they come from, who they are, who their ancestors was on these shores. I'm not talking about those genuine brothers and sisters, but coming out his mouth, it always seems to be that a hustle is behind it. And I think this documentary is no different. We can't put our finger on it, but to erase any other culture from being there in the beginnings of hip hop, you have to erase one of the biggest icons that we ever heard of in hip hop, and that's Kool Herc. You have to erase him. You have to erase him. And there is not one hip hop artist in that era that Minister Paul was talking about, 82 to 92, I think he said. I don't think there's what era was it?
88 to 92. That's really the
88 to 92. I don't think that there's anybody in that group would deny Kool Herc as being a major contributor in the beginning of hip. I just don't see that. And his name is it rings through every song through that era, whether they're talking about knowledge of self or whether they're talking about the knowledge of the history. I've never heard anybody in that group, because that's my era too, erase Kool Herc. So let me yield the floor to you, Randy. What you got for us, brother?
I mean, I caught some of what was being said here, and everybody, it's all about rap though.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
Max,
I ain't heard about no hip hop culture yet. You know what I'm saying? What I hear about is rap, and who's rapping, and who's talking about hip hop though? That's my thing. Who was at a jam? Which one of y'all was at a jam when Chase was cutting, when Theodore was cutting, mixing, when TBB and Rocksteady Crew was getting down? Who was there for that? They could talk about that. The actual hip hop from the Bronx in New York. It was part of this actual culture and lived it in real time. Not reading it off of books and watching UNCV raps and listening to your older cousins' records. You know what I mean? Something like that. Like, who actually was there? Somebody that was there, holla at me. Let's talk about this hip hop culture and who was there, who was not. Because I can tell you who was not there.
Who wasn't there?
Whoever wasn't here. What happened to homeboy, man?
Was KRS-One there?
KRS-One?
Yeah.
Definitely.
In the beginning?
What year was the beginning for you?
Okay, let's say 70s. Anywhere in the 70s.
I was too young.
Okay, so he wasn't there.
He probably the youngest he probably could have. I mean, maybe 79, 80 when he was a teenager, like I was.
Wow. So look, how about this? The thing is that, again, the reason that we're covering this because, my conversation centered around Professor Griffer, Tariq Nasheed. That's just what it is.
He's an outsider.
Yeah, and no, he's actually not only an outsider, but he's trying to cash in on division and should I say straw man arguments about history. Let me share this real quick. I was unaware of this.
Anti-hip hop though.
Yeah, exactly. Let me share this. Let's see. Let me share this. The good doc informed me of this, and I'll talk about this on another show. Where at one point in 04, Tariq says hip hop got started because a Jamaican brother, Kool Herc, started mixing the breaks on funk records, and brothers started rhyming over them. Now, this FBA thing has become a thing by his own creation. You know, he marketed, he trademarked it. It's his thing, you know. Now, and it seems to me in order to cash in on it, now he changes up. And today it's another story, if I can find it. It's another story that maybe he was mistaken or whatever. Here it go right here. Let me share this, and I want to get your take on this. 1 second. Let me get this right here. And now this is the new story. So you just gonna dump hip hop, but you give props to Jamaicans, and hip hop's origin is from Jamaica. I don't understand how now he can come and say hip hop is totally foundation American. That should disqualify him for even giving a documentary on the topic for anybody who takes the history serious. Let me give it to Randy. What you think?
Again, he's an outsider. So what's his position on the culture within himself? You know, he out of his own mouth, he said that he's doing a hip hop documentary without Herc.
That doesn't even make
sense.
sense.
That's like doing a football documentary without the NFL.
You can actually
what's the logic behind that? You know, he came to the Bronx. I mean, it wouldn't make sense, would it? You know what I'm saying?
Actually, football started in college before the NFL, so you could do it that way.
Well,
but it's you know, anyway.
Yeah, but the thing
the whole thing is, you know,
I think what's being said is that NFL would have an impact on the contribution of the conversation because of where it come from to where it's at. So and Kool Herc, even from his own mouth, from Tariq Nasheed's own mouth, would have an impact on the conversation also. And to disregard Kool Herc is like saying, okay, I'm going to create this narrative. And this narrative is going to be FBA, like it or not. That's what this is implying, right, when you don't have people like Kool Herc that have been known in every circle of hip hop as one of the founding fathers of hip hop. Whether people disagree or agree, that's not the question. As far as most people,
but not only Herc, but he doesn't have Flash. Doesn't have Flash in there.
Yeah, exactly,
he doesn't have Bambaataa. He doesn't have the Brothers Disco. Like, who does he have? You know, whoever lines up with his nonsense.
Yeah, and what I noticed is, I mean, shout out to all those
or whoever had needs camera time.
But that's what I was about to say. Shout out to all of those who that's giving their contribution in good faith. That's going to be a part of it. But I will tell you that many of the people that I research, and I don't want to kill anybody's legacy. I don't want to, because I know that one day somebody's going to see this, and I don't want to be the one to rain on their parade when they were just trying to get their bread. But I will say this: many of those contributors are disgruntled. Because I would save that for another time. Many of them at now, I don't want to, like, even this conversation, I don't want it to go on too long because it will be advertising for him. You understand what I'm saying? And I got to move very strategically, but I will say I'm striking the arm while it's hot, and I will say that many of the people that are giving a contribution to this documentary, if you follow their journey, many of them are disgruntled because they didn't get the props or recognition that they thought they should have gotten in their era. So now it's easy to go and shake the tree and say, okay, you hit your bum. Come on here. I got some camera time and I got like $1,500 for you. Come talk to me. We're going to make history. There it is. Like, it's easy to shake the tree and get people to hit their bum and then bring them on in. But let me get Minister Paul in. What you were saying, brother?
Yeah, I got a question for the panel. By definition, would hip hop be a culture or a subculture? By definition, because
It's a subculture.
It's a New York City subculture.
Right. So we can't say it, because if we say hip hop is a culture, you know, we got to include everything. If we say it's a subculture, yes, it's a subculture of African culture. So we got to get our terminology straight.
Did you just say it's a subculture, African culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just slipped that one in real quick.
I said New York City subculture.
Yeah, because we got to look at the definition of culture.
Hold up, Alquan, you FBA, bro. You didn't jump the fence on me, bro.
Oh, no, I wasn't no FBA. I don't recognize anything Tariq Nasheed comes up with.
I'm just playing, bro.
Yeah,
I like how you caught that, though.
Because if hip hop is a culture, is one thing. If it's a subculture, that's a whole nother conversation. Because a lot of people interchange the two, but I would argue that hip hop is not a culture, it's a subculture. And it's a subculture of African history.
See, that's where you're messing up right there.
Uh-oh.
Because now you got
to screwed up, bro. That's what screwed up.
Now you got to prove a connection, and there's no connection to Africa.
Yep. I'm talking about as far as I'm going into the
graffiti writers in Africa.
Now,
what about writing on trees?
If you listen to the people who are deep into Kemetic history, they would say that the hieroglyphs
were
graffiti.
Right.
And
then some people might say, well, you're supposed to be West African now.
That goes back to how do you define hip hop?
And you know what's funny about that, Minister Paul, that you mentioned that, and one of my favorite groups in the early 90s was the Hieroglyphs. Yeah, it's funny that you say that, man. I really, this is how we chill from 93 until this is how we chill from, yeah, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. So I get what you're saying with that.
Nobody was doing the hieroglyphs on the subway, bro.
I'm sorry?
Nobody was doing hieroglyphs on the subway. The hip hop is from the Bronx, bro. It's from the Bronx.
Absolutely. I think it's a Bronx.
If you wasn't there, you wasn't there, bro.
It's a Bronx culture. It's a Bronx culture, and whoever was there was a part of the creation of it, as we know it. That's my take. That's my take. Whoever was there at these parties, because listen, there is no teacher without a student. There is no artist without the observer, and not only that's at the basic level, but now as hip hop is defined though by those that are in the Bronx. They say that it's breaking, that it's MCing, that it's DJing, and it's graffiti. So if it's going to be defined as a culture, you're going to have to say that there was a FBA, a brother only exclusively doing graffiti. You're going to have to say there's a brother only exclusively DJing. You're going to have to say, you get where I'm going with this? And I don't think that is possible. And to be honest, it's not possible.
You know, KRS-One came up with the 5 elements.
Make sense. Absolutely. I say that's what I say.
And that's why I asked the question earlier. Was KRS-One there in the beginning?
Absolutely. But if we're going to go by those 5 elements, then, like I said, we're going to have to be able to say yes. But although KRS-One is attributed, those elements are attributed to KRS-One. It seems, though, that everybody accepts those 4 elements. I haven't seen anybody dispute it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right to say, but listen.
So, what do you consider? What do you consider hip hop, Alquan? What you consider?
I just call it
rap, just rapping.
Black American urban culture.
No, I'm saying what part
Oh,
of
the
hip
elements.
hop?
I could roll with the 5 elements.
Okay.
But if the music did not become what it became, the rest of it wouldn't really matter too much because the graffiti kind of fell off except for
but
people just.
I did a demonstration like this in a temple on Sunday. That will be just like the heart saying that I'm better than the lungs, and the lungs saying that I'm better than the kidney. Well, let me tell you something. One without the other put the strain on the other. Therefore, all of them work together in harmony to make the body move in a harmonious way. Therefore, if hip hop has all of these elements, you can't say this part is better than that part because they in the Bronx, KRS-One and friends in the Bronx say that it's the whole thing.
Yeah, but see, my point. Now people get on me because I always kind of.
But let me
bang on
say this. Let me say
KRS-One.
this, Alquan. I also say that Minister Ball mentioned the knowledge. And also somebody in there mentioned beatboxing. I mean,
but that was at a time that it got played out.
No, what I'm saying is that when we looking at hip hop as a culture or as a subculture, there are some parts that we have neglected to even mention. I mean, knowledge is a major part of the hip hop culture, and they wiped that out. That was the vehicle to awaken our people. That was the African drum to go across the whole plain of the Serengeti to wake us up. And when I mean the drum, I'm not even talking about the beat. I'm talking about the message. The message was put there, and it was to resonate. I mean, worldwide. And that message was knowledge-based. Now, we did have some people that wanted to do their own thing, but for the most part, it was knowledge-based and it was cut off, and it was cut off intentionally. So let me bring the big bro Doc back in real quick. Doc, I see you sitting there listening. I got 2 more. Randy fell off, but he's coming back in. But
I'm
let me give you the floor.
Questions too, by the way.
Yeah. Look. As a matter of fact, before the Doc go, because they want to ask some questions, before the Doc go, we're going to go about 20 more minutes, and we're going to definitely revisit this again. I'm going to get Minister Paul on deck. Let me get Ivan the Guapo. Ivan El Guapo. And I say that right.
Yeah, you did say that right. And I think you're doing good work. So I wanted to, put my story on, hip hop. I was born in the Bronx, in the 90s.
Guapo.
Yeah, but what's crazy, man? I went to I went to different, I went to Colorado. I also went to now I live in Florida, and I noticed that people don't realize how close Puerto Ricans, Black Americans, Dominicans, Hondurans, and Jamaicans are close in the Bronx. I never seen that other states. People don't understand. Outsiders don't understand that.
Right.
And I think that's their problem because they can't concept. Even Black Americans in the Bronx speak Spanish. If you go, we that close. They speak Spanish. You know what I mean? So that's I think that's the argument when it goes to the hip hop conversation. People can't fathom the part that Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and Black Americans are that close. Even though,
bro, I get exactly what you're saying. In Park Heights here in Baltimore, in Park Heights, a Jamaican, Trinidadian, and man, we just interact like it's just it is what it is.
Thing, man. Baltimore,
it is
Jersey,
what it is.
All of that.
It's nobody talking about man, I ain't gonna get no roti from no Trini. Now I'm gonna get some roti. It is what it is. I'm gonna get some Jamaican roti. It's right. It's not a thing. I don't. You know what I mean? And a lot of these fights are with are people like Tariq creating this fight, and that he's never been intercultured with his people.
What's crazy?
He never intermingled with his people like this.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right. Yes, I went to, for example, I went to jail in Colorado, and I went up to how segregated people are. I never experienced you see Black people here, you see Mexicans there, you see people in the tri-state area, Baltimore, New York, Jersey. You don't see stuff like that. We're together, It's like no, if somebody don't like you in the tri-state area because they don't like you, it's not because you're Black American, you this or that. It's just, you know, beef is beef. Like, we really close in the tri. So I think outsiders, it's hard for them to get that concept how close we are. You know, if you go to the, like, people are really intermingling with each other in the tri-state area, in Baltimore, in Jersey. So I get a lot of people really have a hard time, you know, I think grasping that. I think that's why outsiders be like, yo, this shit can't be real. It's only, don't get me wrong, it is a Black American started, but we definitely Caribbean contribute to the hip hop culture, like you said, and every small part play a big part, because just like businesses, you have your leaders, you have your, you know, bosses, but every employees, everybody play a part to something bigger. So I agree with you, brother. That's all I wanted to say, you know. So,
I appreciate you. Okay, Randy, do you have anything else you want to add before I bring the doc back in? It's his show.
Let the man talk. You know, he got his. He can hold his own.
I got you. All right. So Al Quinn said he had a few questions for the doc. Let's get to Al Quinn.
All right, Al Quan, thank you.
I said Al Quinn. I was saying it right all show, bro. You've been around long enough. You know I'm gonna butcher a few things before the show over. Come on, man.
All right. Now I agree with the last guy. Others helped influence what we created because they just happen to be living in some of the same hoods or near us. That's why.
So now, Al Quan. Now that you say that,
who created it?
Can you identify the name of us that you're referring?
There you go.
I just simply call
name
us
the
Black
creator.
American.
Name that crew, bro.
Listen what I'm saying.
Name the crew. Which Black American crew?
Absolutely. This is what I'm saying, Al Quan. I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, as you know. And unlike a lot of these internet brothers and talking this crazy stuff, even in my religious, my faith, whatever, if I can't show and prove, I ain't teaching it. I ain't talking it. That ain't my thing. Then let everybody else believe in the spooks and the mystery. And so my thing would be, okay, and it's not only just you, anybody. My thing would be, if we, quote unquote, African American, created this, can we have a name, a crew, a time, a place, a something?
Nope.
Not just a we.
Good question.
Is it possible?
Now, that's going to tie into the questions I'm about to ask the doctor.
No, I'm asking you, is that possible, or should I just let you ask your questions first?
Let me ask the question.
Nah, let him answer.
You're gonna get some answers.
All right. So yeah, and like
I bet you I can answer for him. I bet you I can answer for him.
It would have to be. You have to name the brother that was the breaker, or the crew. You have to name the graffiti artist or the backpack graffiti crew.
I don't care about graffiti. I'm being honest with you.
No, but that's hip hop. That's
can't remove it. Can't remove it from the culture, bro.
It's also vandalism too.
So listen, yeah. So listen. So you also will have to name the breakers or the rappers. You know what I mean? Like, is that possible? That's the standing question. Family, let's be honest, Al Quan. You know, and I know.
Don't say it yet. Don't say it. Not yet.
Okay, let's get to the questions with Al Quan, and then we'll bring it back around to Minister Ball after brother Colon get with you.
Now, good doctor, you did say earlier that Jamaicans helped to create, not contribute to, but create hip hop, right?
What does the word create mean?
Oh, you broke up a little bit from.
He says, "What did the word create mean?"
What does the word create mean?
I guess build it from nothing.
To create something that wasn't there.
Right.
Who does that in hip hop?
Well, if that's the case, well, if you're saying that because of sampling and musical theft,
but you're on rap again, bro. The beginning. Who did that?
Okay.
Who is that? It's not African American.
Well, it is, because we can't find any of what has become known as hood culture that comes from someplace else other than America. I'm talking about the foundation. You can throw in some extra little small stuff from other people coming in. I'm talking about the creation.
Bro, no hood culture. Bro, Trenchtown is as hood as you get. And that's where Herc is from. Herc is the father. Herc is the foundation. He's not African American. He's Jamaican. He is the foundation, and every pioneer will tell you the same thing.
Actually, I saw a video. Curtis Blow said, "No, no, no."
I can't speak for Curtis Blow. I can speak for the pioneers.
Oh, Curtis Blow's not a pioneer?
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
He's a rapper. He's a rapper.
If Curtis Blow's listening, I'm sure you might have something to say about that. Is Melly Mel a pioneer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, Melly Mel's a pioneer.
Why?
Yep. Coke LaRock's a pioneer.
But why is Melly Mel a pioneer, but not Curtis Blow?
Good question.
I can answer that.
I'm here for that one.
Good.
I can answer that.
I want to hear the doctor because he put it out there.
That's a good question, and that's actually something I never thought about. But that's a good question.
But
I can answer that.
All right, look, okay, Van D, okay, we'll go with you then. But
so you want to know why Melly Mel is a pioneer?
And as opposed to Curtis Blow.
Okay, Curtis Blow comes after Melly Mel. That's number one. Number two, Melly Mel is the first MC, University of Knowledge, as the first MC ever in hip hop. You dig? Ever. Right? He was the first MC to rap to the 1-2 beat. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that separated the hip hop MC from the disco rapper. You know what I'm saying? He was the first lead MC in the crew, which is Flash of the 3 MCs. All MCs, the DNA of MCing comes from Melly Mel.
Okay,
that's why he's a pioneer.
Okay, let's go with that. Now, how come Curtis Blow is not a pioneer?
I just told you that was number two. He came after. He followed what Curtis Blow was a follower of the Furious Five. You dig? So you cannot be a pioneer if you're a follower. He was a pioneer rap recording artist.
Okay, but if Curtis Blow is a follower, how can you not be a pioneer of something that's not built yet?
Who said it wasn't built?
So was Curtis Blow one of the building blocks of what we know as hip hop?
Yeah.
No, rap. He's one of the rap. He's one of the pioneer rap artists.
Let me rephrase that. Is he one of the building blocks of the element of hip hop called MCing? Curtis Blow.
Rapping.
I'm saying that he is one of the building blocks because his song structure was just like next to none. You know what I mean? His cadence. He bought like I think a lot of people grabbed a lot of cadence from his swag too. You know, he basketball.
Yeah, but he's following. What I'm saying, he's following. Eddie Chiba. He's following Hollywood. He's following Melly Mel, Furious Five. He took from them and put that on a record.
You can hear Melly. So that you can hear Melly Mel. You can hear Melly Mel and Curtis Blow all day long. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is the development and the cadence of that would become his signature sound. Wouldn't that be a building block of the rap element or the MCing element of hip hop? Or no?
On record. On records.
Hey, that's still a part of it, man.
Okay. Yeah, I think in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think
but the question was, hold on. The question was he a hip hop pioneer? I'm saying no.
Okay, I got you.
That's your opinion. But everybody else's opinion is different. But anyway, let me get to the main question.
It's not about opinion, brother. I'll give you the facts.
Well, the facts according
to you. I give you the facts.
But anyway, let me get to
the hip hop.
Let me get to the main question before I got them written down, but I want to make sure I get to them. Let me just get to the point because I was trying to set it up. Let me just get to the point. So, doctor.
You're going to set it up with me, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, these are for the doctor. Jamaicans, if they...
I'm going to derail that setup every time.
Okay, now if the Jamaicans either created or set the foundation for hip-hop, and I'm talking rap because that's without the rap music now, nobody's concerned about nothing else. And we got to be honest with that. If they did that,
no, that's not
you.
True,
you speaking for yourself,
no, that's
bro.
not true, bro.
Today,
hey, bro, popping is thriving in bro.
And where in the inner city?
No, everywhere. We let it go. We let a lot of that go.
Yeah, because it got played out.
No. But that doesn't mean that it's not thriving. It's in other places doing big numbers, bro. It's doing big numbers in other cultures.
Hip hop is global, bro.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
other
but I
cultures.
mean, what
In
the original
China,
people is played
in
out.
Japan. I mean, yeah, with us, we don't really indulge in spinning on our head like we used to. I get that.
Yeah.
Now we
and
let
the rap
somebody
ain't the
spin our
same
head
either.
around and sell us museums. But hey,
So let me.
And the rap ain't the same.
Go ahead
hold
with
on.
your question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, to the doctor, if Jamaicans were a part of the foundation and building blocks and creation of hip hop,
You keep saying Jamaicans. There
yeah,
is
hold
a
on.
I'm trying to
There's
get the
one.
question out.
Hold
I'm
on, let's
trying-
get the question. Dr. Colon, because I got Kamisi Fox up next. So let me get this question.
And the reason why I say Jamaicans because people talk about Kool Herc, so that's why.
Right.
So if that's the case, and he took this toasting, and I guess so-called developed hip hop with it or rap music with it. How come it didn't develop in London?
But where you
Jamaicans?
getting it? You keep going back to rap music and Herc. Herc didn't develop rap music.
Okay, well,
Hip-hop,
that's why I
bro.
say, see, that's why when I say Jamaicans, and you
Played
want
for
to
the
break that
B-boys.
down.
Yeah, Herc
No,
was
bro.
a DJ. I think we
going
got
back to
to separate and categorically put it in place.
But that's why I
Herc
said
was a
Jamaicans.
DJ, and he keeps saying that he created the break for the B-boys. Like
That's what
he
he did.
didn't create the rap. He didn't
He
do
didn't
the rap
do nothing.
MCing part.
Okay, well, let me try to make it simple. Then we can get specific. Where is the hip hop? How come it didn't start out in London since a lot of Jamaicans are in London? How come Kool Herc had to come to New York?
Because it's from New York. It's from the Bronx. It's from the Bronx,
that's a
dude.
straw man.
Not from
Yeah, but
London.
hold up. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How come the Jamaicans didn't take it to London? Why would they take it from Jamaica to New York?
So why
Again.
did hip hop start in the Bronx and nowhere else?
It's one person. His name was Kool Herc. He brought it to the Bronx.
Did he
did
bring
that.
it to the Bronx, or was it developed in the Bronx? I think
Developed.
that's where the argument is. Was it brought to the Bronx, or was it developed in the Bronx? I'm of the
It was
thought that it was
developed.
It got
developed
to
in
be
the Bronx.
developed.
It was developed in the Bronx.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, that's
developed.
I'm of that.
That's
I'm
a
of
better
that
way
thought.
to put it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
because
right.
I don't
You're
believe that he brought it from the island and say,
It
"Here
was
you go."
developed.
Well, that's the story that they tell.
Nah, that can't be. I'm not of that thought.
Yeah,
I'm
where in the Bronx you from, bro? Where in the Bronx you from?
I can't tell the
Where in the Bronx
details
you
on
from?
that. I can't tell the details on that.
the human lie detector test.
You damn right. But check it out. Here's the other thing.
I want to know where in the Bronx you from, B.
But hold up. We got a rapper called Slick Rick. He's Jamaican British. He came to New York to become a great rapper, but not in London. Can you explain that?
Who?
Slick Rick.
Did he
What they
come
got to
to
do with
New
hip
York
hop?
to be? Yeah, but did he come to New York to be a rapper, or was he
No, but
living
I'm
in
saying
New York and
because he
adopted
came
the culture that was there?
because he came to New York, he rapped here and became cool. But he was from the UK. He didn't rap over there and become cool.
But you're still talking about rap, bro. Let's
Right.
talk
That's
about,
exactly what I'm talking about. Is rap.
talk about the foundation of the culture, the DJ and the
Rap
people.
is right now. That DJing is involved with the rap. That's what we're talking about.
No.
Hold on. Let me get Kamisi
Okay.
Fox. Kamisi Fox. Let me get you in, bro. Because the doc got to get up early tomorrow. Come on, we can do this many times. But let me get Kamisi Fox up in here. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know where to get in at. I just want to say what up. I want to say what's up to Minister Paul Scott. It's been a long time. You remember me?
Man, I got your CD around here somewhere.
Kamisi,
That's
what you
what's
do,
up.
bro? Come
He's
on, bro.
official.
Email the Grand Sheik, man. What you got?
I still got your CD in here somewhere, brother.
I'm honored, man. I'm honored. That means everything.
Yeah, brother Kamisi, he's a real one. You talking about? Can I say it, brother Kamisi?
Go ahead. Sure.
You talking about the sons of Dr. Khaled? Yeah. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
Kamisi, can
Yeah,
you email me some of your music, bro? You got my hero on your thumbnail there, on your the thing, man. Dr. Khaled.
I would love to. I'd be honored to, Grand Sheik. I wanted to do that anyway. Because
come on with it, bro.
I like your cuts. You know what I mean?
Send me something, bro, because Dr. Khaled is one of my inspirations, and I just give it to. I use the same energy with Moorish intellect or Moorish ideals, but it's the same energy that Khaled brought. The same energy, bro. So when I seen that, yeah, I knew it was something.
How do I get my email to you?
TaharkaBey@gmail.com.
Okay, Tahaka, that's easy to remember. Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna hit you up, and it's gonna be my email is gonna be goddessworshiper@gmail.
Looking forward to it. But brother, come on, you got to make a contribution to this conversation before we get out of here.
Well, I'm the conversation, hip hop. It all came together in the Bronx. I mean, you could say all of the elements started wherever, but they all came together in the Bronx,
Right.
and that's because of the the break beats of those American, not just American songs. It borrowed a little the break beats of all those different songs. The drum part, the drum part, the favorite part of your song where the drum breaks down and you want to keep that going.
That sounds like James Brown.
Last long enough. Yeah, that is James Brown. That's one of the break beats. A lot of James Brown break beats.
That's the true godfather and creator of hip hop.
Yeah, and all of those songs with the break beats. Manu Dibango, Soul Makossa. That's the African brother. I remember the brother you mentioned Africa earlier. Yeah. It all came together in the Bronx because of those break beats. They inspired the dance and they inspired the break dancing and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I agree with Minister Paul Scott that the golden age of it was the late 80s, early 90s, because that's when it reached the zenith, when we was talking about knowledge, when we was rapping ourselves out of oppression, when we was making a connection with Africa. We were wearing the African medallions. We was all into knowledge.
We was tethering, brother. We was tethering.
Absolutely. And I think Tariq, his job is to make us argue. That's all. As long as we arguing about it, he done did his job.
And
as long as we separated and divided and broken up and screaming FBA over here and y'all and Caribbean y'all, and as long as we doing that, he did his job.
Bro, ain't that typical of what the European has done when he divided up the continent of Africa? The Dutch, the French, the Spanish, the et cetera, they have them warring with each other about nothing when all the riches is right beneath their feet. And our strength is in our unity, and we sitting up there screaming that one is greater or better than the other. This is just ridiculous to me.
Absolutely, and and Africa is in it too. Because why? Because if you look at the African dance styles, you see break dancing. I can show you visually, Alquan. I don't want to, because you specifically want to cut it Africa out of it. I can show you specific break dance moves that the break dancers did. And Africans doing those exact same moves. So what I'm saying is Africans weren't in the Bronx. What I'm saying is I want to say the connection is in the DNA, meaning we all do the same things, even when we're in different places.
Does the doctor
So the connection is in the DNA strands. We do some of the same things. Yeah.
But I think he said, do the doctor agree with that? I think we just agreed that it was developed in the Bronx, that no person bought no one thing from no one place. It was the children in the Bronx, young children in the Bronx.
Let me be honest with you. I disagree with hip hop as a whole.
Well, you talking about rap, though? I think you're talking about rap.
Came from the Bronx, but the whole hip hop culture, I can't give that to the Bronx.
Okay, Alquan, what part didn't come from the Bronx? I need a time, a place, and a name.
Time, a place, and a name.
It's more important than the place. I would say it just comes from a great people. We need to make ourselves. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Kamisi, 1,000% of what you're saying, it comes from us. But the point of the matter is that if you're going to make the argument that it came from other places and other things happen, then in this conversation, we got to first, before we say something like that, we should prepare ourselves. We should be prepared to give an answer of a time, place, name, something.
DNA.
A crew, something.
Well, can I say this before we struggle with answering that question? I want to point this out because I also agree with Minister Paul Scott that we're responsible for what happened to it. The problem is
That's right.
we arguing about who started it. Here's the problem. We no longer practice it.
Come on,
We
bro.
no longer practice it. We don't kick the knowledge. It ain't the voice of the people. It ain't what it was. This
Come on,
stuff
man.
we doing now, so-called mumble rap, is the antithesis of rap. That's the anti-rap.
Come on, brother.
Ain't no such thing as no mumbling. No, you speak out, you express yourself. So we allowed them to drag it down to the lowest point. Now it's on some street stuff. See, the problem is all of the elements of hip hop that make it fun, the breakdancing, the rapping, the beatboxing, the knowledge, all of that, we done exported to everywhere else. People in Spain, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, they doing all that. While we over here talking a bunch of street murder, death, kill, die, nigga, die stuff.
Now that's the
And
community.
then arguing about the creation of it. We don't do it no more. So what difference does it make?
Come on, bro. Woo! That's a mic drop right there.
That's the
Real quick.
community I know. I was
Let
waiting
me get Camise, you gotta come on this show again. We gotta do this again. Naps. Let me get Naps real quick before the doctor have to go. The doctor gotta go. Naps, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. What you want to add?
Man, here's the thing, man. Let me tell you how ridiculous this argument is, and obviously, shout out to the panel and everything. FBA's narrative is all the tethers are up in New York. All right, that's the narrative.
Yeah.
Hold on, but the narrative is all the tethers are up in New York, and it's so disgusting that when the thing happened in Alabama, they made a correlation between that kid getting killed in the subway, saying, "Oh, y'all tethers up here, y'all don't fight. It's the FBA people." Well, if the FBA people are nothing but tethers up in New York, how is it that all of a sudden FBA people, like, what FBA people started hip hop? And the doctor would probably agree with this as well. There were no lineage wars in hip hop.
Come on, brother.
When were there lineage wars in hip hop ever?
That's all new, bro.
No one's ever. I mean, there have never been. The only lineages. Well, blacks started it and whites haven't. And right now, as we're speaking, they keep sticking Eminem in the top 10 of all hip hop categories. Good, but top 10.
The funny part about that, Naps, is to add on what you said. The only wars in hip hop, as it relates to lineage, was popping, breaking, and maybe the Puerto Ricans was going to try to outbreak and pop the other crew that was quote unquote African American, but that was as far as it went, as far as I can tell. But that other stuff that didn't make sense.
Just a couple quick points. There's this, just to show you how much I do follow hip hop. I don't consider myself a historian, but I follow it. There was a rapper some time back. He's from the Bronx called Bunky Essay. Him and Mano had this big beef, and he's a dude with the floor, whatever. I recently saw him online, and I guess he's in prison. Who knows? I mean, you don't know online, but he's there in prison in lockdown, doing a rap, and he's pounding his hands on the table and doing a rap, and it sounded pretty good. And I said, that shit right there is pure hip hop.
Right.
All right. Now, all these other things, all the samples and everything, y'all sample from reggae, you sample from calypso, you sample from pop. Once you do that, then you can say that it's not pure hip hop. Now, being that that's pure hip hop, then the guy who started the beatboxing was from, one of them, the top one is from Barbados. That's Dougie Fresh, right? Buffy, where's he from? Biz, where's he from? All right. So my question is, if they're all non-FBA, then what are we talking here? Then what? I mean, how do you find out if these guys are really American and you're letting a dude,
come on, brother,
letting a man, the pimp, who has never been in like hip hop. He never promoted hip hop. If this was someone like Doggy Diamonds, who's been doing this for years, and ironically, did he ask Doggy Diamonds to be in the documentary? Right? So if this was Doggy Diamonds, then said, yeah, maybe there's some credence. This is a dude in LA via Alabama telling you the real about hip hop. and y'all are eating this shit up.
My man.
Tariq Nasheed is a hip hop veteran, though.
Yo,
Listen,
Creed.
listen,
You guys
played
heard
a
what?
character. He
You
played
heard
a
what
character.
I'll say this and I'll end it. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we weren't talking about this stupid shit. And
Come
in
on, brother.
10 years, 15 years, we are not going to be talking about this. I'll tell you what will happen. You're going to get more Leo Cohens. You're going to get more of these white guys who are basically running this shit. And all these coon ass rappers, they're going to turn like 50 Cent. They're gonna just completely pervert the culture, turn into Republicans while white people eat off that shit. And you aren't doing nothing about it. What are we doing here? We're sitting there trying to brag on who was the best slave, the best court.
Woo.
I mean, come on, man. So I know this is restricted to the internet, but the fact that this dude is doing this shit is laughable to me. And people actually eating this up. Come on, go ahead.
And Naps, this is why I'm glad that you tapped in. I'm glad that everybody tapped in, because I wanted to highlight just that this just a conversation for social media. It's not a reality for when we look at reality for real. You just underscored it. You know what I'm saying? That it has been hijacked
from this on the internet, though, a lot. But
can I add this?
Go ahead.
This is going on at a time when it's been announced. I'm not saying it's official, but one of the people who are on the inside, Ebro, y'all know Ebro made that announcement,
absolutely,
that tweet that they are not going to be signing rap anymore. That it's going to be Afrobeat and reggaeton, which is all remixed black music. Reggaeton is just Latin dance hall. But you know what I'm saying?
I was telling Doggy Diamonds, we had that conversation also, and I was telling Doggy Diamonds, he was like, what happened to us? What happened to us? And I said the same thing, basically what you had mentioned earlier, that we better take control of it on the ground, because this internet thing here is already gone. The water has left the glass. You can't put it back in. But on the ground, I still want to hear the purest form of MCing. I still want to hear the purest form of breakbeats upgraded to 2023 and beyond. I still want to hear that. Like when I hear that drum, I'm like, man, I can rock with that. You know what I'm saying? So
you know who they want to be doing that? Who's going to be doing it, Taharka?
Who's that?
White people and everybody else, while we doing our murder, death, kill.
And
they're going to come through the back door. Yeah, they're going to come through the back door, break dancing and dropping knowledge and doing all that stuff we used to do, since everybody didn't forgot about it. And we all often see, they in the in the early 90s, when they destroyed hip hop, they turned it over. They want to make the identity of hip hop be street. It's all street stuff. You see what I'm saying? It's all from the street. It's got some. So when it's just only street, that means that ties it to pimp, hustler, gangster, all the lowest elements of society. When it's on the black hand side, they want to relate it to that. Now, when everybody else comes through the back door with it, they're gonna be doing all that other good stuff that we used to do. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They want to pull the old switcheroo, and we gonna go for it.
Right. There's and I didn't hear the song yet, but this artist by the name of Charlie Puth, right? You heard of him. He made this song called Lipstick. Now, I haven't heard it, but from what I understand, it sounds like disco. Now, we used to obviously dominate disco. And after a while, they pushed that out the door.
Black Americans, that is.
And they made it into something bad. So now, eventually, you have this guy bringing it back, but you got a white face on it. Eventually, you're going to see that happen to hip hop. Why not do a documentary on the white people that are running hip hop?
Absolutely. And let me say this. I want to do a drop, family. If y'all listen to Sirius FM radio, whatever it is, man, y'all got to tune into Rock the Bells radio. I got to give it to you a buck. They keep it 1,000. They keep it 1,000. I'm really impressed with what LL put together over there. with Roxanne, and I mean all of it's real stand up over there. Please go to Rock the Bells Radio if you're on XM Radio. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just telling you that is what I listen to. I don't listen to that other stuff because I'm not supporting this European that has disrespected our greats. I just don't do it. But Rock the Bells Radio, I'm telling you, fam, they really go to the extreme to make sure that the hip hop is preserved.
And let me
Indeed.
just add on to that too. Everybody in hip hop, whether you're a young artist or artist or a new artist or whatever, whenever you came in, watch that MC Shan interview. If you get a chance, watch that. That's one of the realest interviews you'll ever see.
Which one is that?
MC Shan, Rock the Bells. Watch
Okay, good.
Great interview where he's absolutely real about hip hop and basically what you should strive for when you get into the business. But it's a very good, and he kept it very honest, and he just bore his soul in that interview. Very good interview.
Indeed. As we get out of here, let me give it to Minister Paul. Matter of fact, let me give it to Audio Cyrus real quick. Audio Cyrus, be real quick because I got to get the doc out of here. He got work to do in the morning. Brother,
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, bro. Good looking out. No, I wanted to just add on to the conversation about the sound system, influencing hip hop and the DJ culture in the early, I wasn't there in the Bronx in the 70s, but what I do know is that there was a song, that was put out by Motown called Dancing in the Street, which came out in the 60s, right? Now, that song wasn't just hyperbole. They were actually dancing in the street to DJs back in the 60s in America, all through Detroit, all through, the urban areas. This was a part of, DJ culture in America was very big among Black people from whatever background, but ultimately, if you go back to the 30s, one of the most popular people that was at the Apollo, I forget his name, but he had like a rocket ship, as a prop on stage and everything like that, because his radio, he would come on doing the little chat, and, they would do the little scat chat before they would bring on the records. Back in the day, they would be playing jazz, they would be playing other things. So DJ culture was very prevalent in American Black society, going all the way back to the jazz era. So all of these elements coalescing in the Bronx, and especially with the background of the Bronx at that time in the 70s being this very burnt down city, fires, I think it was like 100 to 1,000 fires could happen in a day, with all these buildings that were going on. So there was a lot of dispossession, a lot of, social economic elements that led into this culture being popularized the way that it was at that time. And that's not taking anything away from anyone, but I just wanted to add that on because, again, this conversation is so manufactured. Nobody was tripping off of Phife Dawg talking about being a Jamaican. When you listen to We Got the Jazz, right? He came on chatting at the beginning of the verse, you know what I mean? Like nobody was, we were down with the Fushnikins, you know what I mean? This was never a question, you know what I mean? So right. I just wanted to kind of add all of that, from what I was hearing from everybody, nobody was asking Heavy D, now I will say this. I did think it was interesting that Heavy D divulged his Jamaicanness very late in the game. I think it's interesting that Busta Rhymes divulged his Jamaicanness very late in the game. Like a lot of these people did sort of keep that. I got to cut your wisdom. I disagree. I think everybody. I'm not saying it was intentional or it had any sort of nefarious.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing.
Right, and that's my overarching point. Absolutely.
Like we knew that Busta was of Jamaican origin. Like he didn't have to wear it on his sleeve. You know what I'm saying?
Wore it on his face.
Yeah, we knew it just wasn't a thing. So that I just wanted to underscore that.
No, you're right. No,
these things that we're talking about now is just
like I said, it's all been manufactured and it's being hyped up, and this is just like a further extension of the East Coast West Coast beef that we saw, and we saw the results of that, completely manufactured, and but at the end of the day, the James Brown, I think Alquan brought up the James Brown concept, and I don't think we really fleshed that out, because when we look at James Brown, his influence as the godfather of hip hop goes back to what's called the vamp, right? Taking the 4-bar measure from an orchestration or an arrangement, right? And zeroing in on that, and sort of, if there's a few songs where, the word rap was used by James Brown and even others, like, let me rap at you. No, let me rap at you, right? Like, I think it's Funky Good Time. At the end of Funky Good Time, when it's kind of fading out, you can hear James say, "Excuse me, cat, while I rap." You heard George Clinton, on old tracks from Funkadelic. There's a song called not Be My Beats. What's this? It's on that album. Let's Take It to the Stage. Right. If you listen to the end of that song, he does this kind of quick, multi-syllabic flow that you could actually compare to E40 right now. Like the way that he was saying what he was saying, like a lot of these influences were there. A lot of the earliest, hip hop artists were and we saw it in a lot of the sampling, especially in the mid to late 80s and 90s, a lot of funk samples. Like they were very much involved in extracting so these are the real, the DNA of hip hop as we know it in its inception is funk and rock. Like you don't have Run DMC without rock and roll. You don't have a lot of early what was considered b-boyisms without that breakbeat. It wasn't just congas and all that, and I give you credit on that, but it was also a lot of rock and roll breakbeats. It was the big beat by T-Rex. It was a lot of
b-boys didn't break
drums. It was the drum. It was the drum, the stripped down element of the music, the drum and the bass. It can't just be. And I know the conga breaks you're talking about. You know what I mean? But at the same time, jazz.
You're not listening. You're wrong.
The big beat, that was Billy Squire, by the way.
It's Billy Squire, and you're wrong. There's beats that the b-boys used, and there's beats
Billy
that
Squire. Okay, I'll take that. Billy Squire. Right, I got you.
Two different set of breaks. The b-boys used a certain set of breaks, and the MCs used a certain set of breaks.
That's fair.
They didn't use the same breaks. Some of them were interchangeable. Apache was interchangeable, but the b-boy breaks had the Latin breakdown in those breaks. Those are facts. And you can listen to the songs and hear the breaks.
Well, so that's maybe in the Bronx at that time, but at the same time, you also had the pop locking, which was going back to the same time period where they were pop locking the Roger and Zapp and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Funk records. So
that's in California, though, bro. That's not New York.
That's still hip hop, though, is it not?
That's California. That's not
still
New
the
York.
Inception of hip hop, though, right? The same time period, the 70s. It all comes from the same. What I'm saying is, funk is a part of. If you're going to claim James Brown, then you got to claim Roger and Zapp.
Funk. No, but that's not the same.
You can't act like it wasn't a simultaneous explosion of culture. And yes, it was codified in New York in certain elements, but you can't leave out the California aspect of it because there was cross-pollination.
You might as well go with Sly and Family Stone then, if you want to go.
Yeah, where are you going to get that breakbeat from? They came from Marin County in the Bay Area. Yeah. Where are you going to get that funk from?
Look, we got now we're going to start a whole new conversation. Did it start on the West Coast?
Well, I'm just saying. No. No. I don't want to go there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying funk as a major part of the DNA of hip hop can't be refuted.
What I'm saying is, I think that I'm sorry to cut your wisdom, but I gotta let the doc go. What I'm saying is that what you're saying only reaffirms what I interpret the doc has said from the beginning, that it's a culture or it's an art form that many people made contributions to bring it to the whole called hip hop. I think we're saying the same thing, you know, and to just narrow it down to one person, one group, or in the Bronx, and no one is able to name the person. No one is
Right.
able to name the crew. No one is able to name the graffiti writer. No one is able to name, like, we might as well just start believing in Santa Claus again. You know what I'm saying?
If you
Like,
if you want an example of what, if you want an example of what it sounded like, listen to a DJ named DJ Mark, the 45 King. If you listen to him do a mix session, he plays the original records.
The original
as
break,
they, you know, and the original breaks as they were, how they sounded.
Biz Markie was like a student. Biz Markie and Marley Marl are both
hold up.
Sort of elements of that. I agree with you on that.
And I was just giving Rock the Bells Radio. They have a segment on Rock the Bells Radio where they call Flip That Like This. And they play
the salute the sample. The salute the sample.
Salute the sample. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I listen to it, bro. I listen to it.
And
that's why, and you'll hear stuff like this, right? You'll hear stuff like this. Bob James. I got it on the vinyl. I'm trying to show y'all.
Real quick. Let me get Ivan El Guapo. Do you have something to say real quick? How about Naps?
Nah, I had I learned actually a lot from you know, the hip hop culture from you guys and you know, stuff like that. Yeah, that's basically it, man. I'm glad you guys welcome me in. I do want to tell people that just like in America, everybody have different, you know, cultures and stuff like that. And I think just like hip hop was created in the Bronx, it was all collectively. That's how I feel. But I'll let you guys know because you guys know a lot and I'm learning. So that's it. That's all.
Appreciate you. How about you, Naps?
Yeah, listen, guys. When I heard James Brown, I mean, James Brown was the most sampled guy in hip hop. He didn't rap. I mean, think about this. If anybody tried to imitate James Brown rapping, they'd be laughed off the stage. The only person who ever sounded like James Brown was 30 years later when Mystical came out, and no one's ever rapped like him again.
That's not true. Old Dirty Bastard had that flair as well. I would give it to Old Dirty Bastard first.
Look, he did not rap like no James Brown.
I would give it to Old Dirty Bastard. That as far as that energy, absolutely. Yep, all the little grunts and everything. Yeah,
He's talking about the rap style. He's talking about the rap style where you could hardly get what James was talking about, but it was funky as ever.
James's slang, though, that created that was a foundation for quite a bit of hip hop.
Listen, if we want to play this foundation,
if you ever heard the song "Cold Blooded" by James Brown, check out "Cold Blooded."
Bro,
Cold Blooded.
Bro, if we want to play this game, Buffalo Gals was sampled from a old folk song from the 1800s by white folks.
Yeah. If we want to play this game, Blondie is the first rapper.
Let's not drag it on.
Hold on.
Audio.
So Blondie is the first rapper.
How do you sample a song from the 1800s?
Yeah, that like these are,
hold up, audio. We're trying to get everybody in so we can get out of here.
Yeah, but how many folk songs were they rapping in back then? If we want to play that game. All right, that wasn't called rap. This what was called rap.
No, I never said. I said it was the DNA. I never said it was called rap. But he did use the term rap, but not the way he used it.
Let me say, the guy who's making this so-called documentary, he went back and pulled an old folk gospel song and said that's rap.
Right. So, no, the true. Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't. So we don't want to take it there. Hip hop was
right.
Tables and a microphone. And I'll end it by saying this. In front of the Hip Hop Museum, you saw KRS-One and you saw Coke Rock C. Coke Rock did not snatch the microphone from KRS and say, no, I'm here to say that we started. You saw two men of African descent. And that's what you got to leave it at. Forget the Jamaican or two men. You said the people who
I agree, Nappy. Forget the Jamaican. Forget that. I agree with you.
The people, all right, whatever. The people who started this were men of African descent. And if you think you can't put, and if you think you can't put,
sound like
if you think that you can't get pushed out of it, look what happened. Look what happened to the jazz. Look what happened to the blues. Look what happened to every other started. All right, so understand that, and that's
yeah. And I really think again we have to just acknowledge the fact that Blondie is the first white rapper. The Beastie Boys with their early
Whoa,
No, bro. I gotta let you go, audio. We gotta do this another day, brother. Bro ain't gonna never get his sleep so he can get to work in the morning, bro.
Hey, shout out to Alquan. Hey, Alquan, shout out to you, bro.
Thank you,
I
man. Peace.
appreciate you.
and thank me for having me up, y'all. Peace
Well,
out.
appreciate you, Naps.
Shout out
Appreciate
to
you,
Nappy
audio.
Yankee
Side.
too.
I had to get audio out, man. Audio create a whole new audio. That's my bro, but goodness and good. We about to go down a whole nother rabbit hole. With that being said, Alquan, bro, thank you for your contribution. Anything you want to add as you walk out the door?
Yeah, I want to say thank you for letting me up for more than a few minutes, and to the doctor.
I actually appreciate you, bro. I really appreciate what you bring to the table because we need all. You're very respectful, and we need to have these conversations stimulating. We need it to be interesting, and it need to be engaging. So we need, like, if you were the same person cursing with the same questions, then this would be horrible. But you, bro, I love.
I always try to respect people on their show and don't call people names. I like doing that. Unless they call me a name, then
that's right. Then you go hard.
Yeah,
because people don't know the Grand Sheik a good cusser.
Yeah,
I used to
go
be
hard.
An amazing cusser. Good goodness gracious. But I'm better now.
Now, one last thing to the doctor, real quick. Somebody in a chat room mentioned white record labels. Would you consider that a part of the building and foundation of hip hop too?
I wanted something else. I wish I had my bomb.
It's a contribution, no?
Button here.
It's not limited. I want to just say this is so unlimited because, like we talk about James Brown. James Brown, so many of the break beats came from James Brown, but James Brown was inspired by the church. His whole style. Ha! So and so and so. Ha! Let me tell him about this little bit. That sounded like a southern preacher. So and so and so. Ha! It's so many influences. Hip hop is not limited. It borrows from everything.
You gotta send that email, bro. You gotta come with the doc next time. What do you say?
I got to Hawk. Hey, I appreciate it. Honored, man.
Bro, I never considered that, but yeah, bro, that's it. That's the Southern Baptist preacher.
Yes.
Man.
All right, but peace out to everybody. But to the doctor, never forget, don't tell the story of hip hop without Superfly, 1972. All right, peace out.
All the hip hop.
Alquan, I'm gonna see you next time around, bro. Don't forget to hit the link.
All right. As long as you put it out there.
With that being said, Kamisi, anything you want to say on your way out, bro? Don't forget to email me. That's for one thing, for sure.
No doubt. I got to do it. And thanks for having me on here. And it's good to see you again, Brother Minister Paul Scott. And thank you, Doctor, good doctor. I forgot your name. My first time hearing it.
Dr. Colon.
Dr. Colon. Yeah, I appreciate you, Dr. Colon. And yeah, and I remember the last poets rapping. What's that? Automatic, systematic, genetic, phonetic, remote control. I forgot. I can't repeat it, but they were rapping. I mean, it's vast, man. I mean, there's no need to try to limit it to any crews or any particular one person or any, because it's us. It's just coming from us. If we don't just see ourselves as a great people, because the bottom line is we giving this stuff away. Keep your eye on these white folks. They the ones gonna be taking it, gonna be claiming it.
Hey, bro,
them the ones who gonna be claiming it in a minute. That you got white roster men and reggae. They stealing everything.
hey, bro, and that's why I say that this Tariq Nasheed fiasco is going right over people's head because they don't see that this is the precursor to Europeans taking this thing to another level, and we looking at it like we beefing, like it's you against me or me against a Puerto Rican brother or you against a Jamaican brother. It's just so goofy to me. It's just bad.
You correctly identified him as an agent.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. But thank you so much, bro. I'm looking for your email tonight. That's right.
We'll do it.
All right. Thank you so much, bro. So So with that being said, but now we down. We almost there. Good Doc. Let me get Brother Minister Paul, because we got to do this one more time before we put too much hype to this guy documentary. But Minister Paul, what do you got for me, brother?
Yeah, first of all, Grand Sheik, I'm honored as usual. Great show. A good show with Kamisa would be the difference between rap and revolution. Or what happened to the really happened to the revolutionary age of rap. That would be good for Kamisa.
Bro, I need you to email me that topic, and when he emailed me, we're gonna put it together.
I got a CD from 20 years ago, and that he was on it back then, heavy.
Because what I'm doing now, Minister Paul, is I've almost made my quota about talking about Tariq. I said I would do it for 12 months. I'm coming up on my 12 months, and now it's time to spread our wings and go in various directions and continue to keep tabs on this agent of confusion, disinformation, and misinformation. But for the most part, we're going to spread our wings and go in a bunch of different directions, so everybody can get this very, very enriching information that you and other like minds like yourself and Doc bring to the table, whether it be hip hop, whether it be revolution, whether it be whatever it may be, history, whatever the case may be. But we're going to take a journey on this fall season of Moorish World TV. But go on, brother.
Indeed. All right, 3 real quick points. First point is, we got to understand, before Vanilla Ice, hip hop wasn't known by lineage; it was known by eras. You were either the old school, new school, next school, then the golden era, then the conscious era, then the pop era.
What about the true school?
Remember that? Oh yeah, the true school. Yeah. The true school was the conscious era, though. That was like 88 to 92. So conscious era, true school, that's the same era. But it was like, okay, are you in the old school, new school, next school? The true school was Public Enemy, and that's correct. Before it was called the conscious era, it was called the true school. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that was in the progression. So we got to, so all those groups, old school groups, even you throw in Third Base and the Beastie Boys, and all of it was just hip hop before Vanilla Ice. When Vanilla Ice came, people started looking at that thing like, wait a minute. So that's my first point. Second point is, why nobody? I think you all gave a pop quiz or something, or we're talking about early DJs like DJ Flowers and the rest of them maybe in a previous show. Why nobody talks about Jocko? Jocko was a very influential DJ back in the day, and even a lot of the early rappers imitated Jocko. Jocko, where you been, around the world and back again. A lot of the early rappers of the early 80s, they were actually imitating Jocko with their rhymes. So, and my last point, and Doc, it's been a pleasure as well, sir. My last point is, I just want to add this little bit of history. Rappers Delight, as much as people say that the lines came from Grandmaster Cass, some of that line actually came from H-Rap Brown, Jamel Alameen. Die, N-word, die is in that book. Imp the Pimp, the ladies pimp, the women fight for my delight. That's not Grandmaster Cass. That's H-Rap Brown.
Let's go. That's good to know.
So
bro.
I just wanted to drop that in there right quick. But
yeah, that's a good nugget.
I love the way the show went, brother.
Man, I love it too, man. And let me say again, brother, let me tell you this, brother. As a brother, I can't wait to press your hand when I come to North Carolina, or if you're still there when I get there, because you might take on the mantle of journalism and keep it pushing. Who knows? But I can't wait to press your hand, as we say in the More Science Simple of America, because bro, you one that makes sure that I stay on point. And I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that you debate me, that you beat me down, you send me a text, email every so often to help me remember that I have a duty to the listener. I have a duty to our people as it relates to the integrity of the information that comes across the screen. And you don't even have to say it, but when you email me out of the clear blue, it reminds me that I have a duty of integrity, to keep my integrity to the people with the information.
Because Grand Sheik, in all honesty, and this is just from, I've shared this with you publicly before, you are one of the best psychoanalyzers in the business. The way you psychoanalyze people and situations, I just sit back and listen to how you see it. You know, I'm a fan of Steve Coakley, you know.
Amazing.
But the way you psychoanalyze people and break things down, not too many can do it like you, bro.
Bro, I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Send me that. Don't forget the email with the title, and we're going to set that show up real soon. All right?
Yeah. Appreciate you, Doc.
Appreciate you, bro. Blessings.
Now, Doc.
Yes, sir.
This hour and 2 hours, almost 2 hours and a half, we haven't had one person to bring anything to refute what you brought on the table. Did you notice that? The link was out there. We didn't plan to go this long.
Right.
There's not one person that brought anything that would refute your premise. So ultimately, that's turned into a conversation.
Yeah, there was that one guy, though. I forgot his name.
Alquan?
Yeah.
I don't think he refuted, though.
Well,
I think he tried, but I don't think it could stand the litmus test because he couldn't name nobody. He couldn't, you know what I mean? But I mean, shout out to him. I think we need brothers like that. But I say like Crip say, I say there is no evidence. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. So we have to go with the common denominator. The common denominator is that in the Bronx, there was a mixed culture of people, and you can't deny it. But do we pinpoint the starting point? I think that's kind of hard. Even somebody had mentioned in the last show that the actual date of August 11th, 1973 is just symbolic. Well, if we acknowledging that this is the 50th year of hip hop, listen to this, fam. If we are acknowledging that this is the 50th year of hip hop, and we're going by the date August 11th, 1973, and we are all talking about this, that date is attributed to a Jamaican, and that Jamaican is Kool Herc.
Right. That's right.
So I mean, even having this conversation, you know, is a fallacy in itself to try to say it's all FBA or it's this, that. I think the research is going to go on, and maybe you will pinpoint somebody, but as of now, the jury is out. But let me yield the floor to you.
Yeah. No, I think that it was a good conversation. I think that some of the points that were made when it came to, you know, I think one of the brothers said, you saw two people on the stage, Kool Herc and KRS-One, and they were both African Americans, and there was no Jamaicans. KRS-One has Caribbean roots. He has Jamaican roots. So this is what I mean. Like, people don't know this stuff. Kool Herc doesn't, but KRS-One does. So again, man, the bottom line is the Bronx, the 70s, Jamaicans, African Americans, Latinos, mainly Puerto Ricans, sparked the culture. The main elements being, you know, the DJ who plays the breaks, the B-boys, and that's it. You know, and I'm working on something currently, you know, but the documentary is out, you know, and I would encourage people to check out the documentary. And I'm working on something right now. I'm going to keep under wraps, but I am working on something. So
thank you so much, bro. I don't want to hold you up any longer because has been hesitant. Ninth intellect. Don't go nowhere. I don't want to hold you up any longer because we was debating to do this tonight because it might get too late, and we didn't went late anyway. So let me say I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I send my thanks to your family. because people don't understand that this affects families. For us to even talk this late, you know, as I was telling you earlier, that you hear my wife in the background, oh, you said you wasn't going live, you know. So the sacrifices that families make deserve to be acknowledged and honored. So I acknowledge your family. I honor your family for giving you up for a few hours for us, as well as you're going to have to get rested up so you can work tomorrow too. So
Yes.
I appreciate the sacrifice you make. Thanks a lot, bro.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
And I'm just a call away. Peace
All
and
right,
love.
man. Yes, sir.
So
Peace and
family,
love.
listen to this. Listen to this. Ninth, what is it? Ninth. You say that you're a producer, bro. Email me at tahakabay@yahoo.com. I want to get all my music right and exact. I'm ready to get busy ASAP. I got tons and tons of music, and it's not necessarily to try to get rich or whatever the case may be. My music is documenting my moment in time, if you will. So when you listen to my music, right, and even the theme songs that I do for the show, like The More You Gonna Remember, I didn't want to be remembered. I didn't want to be remembered as these crazy Moors. I didn't want to be remembered. And so in my mind, I was like, man, I'm gonna be the more you gonna remember. I'm gonna change the game. And I ultimately just turned that into art form. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, my children's children will be able to listen, even if it sounds corny to some today. Because once it's down, you know. And my children's children will be able to listen to that and say, man, my great grandfather or my ancestor, he was saying something similar to this or similar to that. And so it's not about trying to sell a record, trying to go on tour. I document my pain, I document my struggles, I document my joys, I document my inspiration, and I do it with the outlet of lyricism and hip hop. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. Family, I got breaking news for you tomorrow. I'm not going to give it all to you, but I went to court with Tariq Nasheed today. I went to court with Tariq Nasheed today, and I'm meditating, contemplating how can I deliver what happened in court today. But I'm going to bring you the information. But tomorrow we're going to have another dynamic show. We're going to have another dynamic show tomorrow, family. And like I said, we're going to spread it out. We're gonna bust pause. We're going to address the fraudulent acts of Tariq Nasheed and others like him, and even more so, we're going to spread it out just a little bit more. But family, tomorrow I have breaking news for you. I see you tomorrow. We're going to have some fun tomorrow. We're going to have some big fun tomorrow. But I'm going to break the news at the beginning of the show about what happened in court today with Tariq Nasheed. And you going to love it. Peace and love, family.